What is the goal of DOGE, and I think a significant part of this of presidency is to restore democracy? We're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present, that haven't been present.
Common sense. You know, we've been talking about common sense here on our humble radio broadcast for a long time. I'd like to think that common sense might be making a comeback. What do you think? I tell you, this Donald Trump, Elon Musk thing, they need to take it on the road. Well, actually, I guess they have taken it on the road, haven't they? They started out on the road. Now they're in the Oval Office. And common sense is making a comeback. As we've pointed out in the past, while in the United States military, they will occasionally say friendly fire isn't. We have observed in the not-too-distant past that in the United States today, common sense isn't. And also keep in mind that the Democratic Party isn't. Boy, are they not. They're incredibly undemocratic. They're really, what are they, Michael? They're kind of fascist, I think. Somewhat fascista. And you see, they got the skinheads. They're the ones with the real skinheads to be concerned about. They got skinheads in Congress. Oh, she has alopecia. Oh, shut up. Everything, they just can't wait to become victims. Am I right? Is that right? And they like everyone else to be victims, too. Which is why, there are crazy stories today about transgender Democrats and that means a man pretending to be a woman. That's what a transgender, and it's a Democrat man pretending to be a Democrat woman, and being in your daughter's locker room at the swimming pool. We've got hang on. Then there's the illegal alien, because Democrats love criminal illegal aliens more than they love non-criminal illegal aliens, I think. The Democrat Party is a tumor. It's a tumor. Amazing stuff that they've thrown at us today. I was collecting and gathering and collecting after leaving and then going and doing my Newsmax television program, which I've got to say gets better and better. It was really a great one last night, a fun one last night. Going to be another great one tonight as well on Newsmax at 10 p.m. Eastern. Big fun. But after that, I went and met up with a couple of friends at an establishment. We had a snow. I don't want to say a snowstorm, but it was a snow. We had an actual snow here. You could call it a snowstorm, I guess, right? Right. Jasmine's like, a little bit, nothing, not too heavy a lift. But I went out and went to a place. It's something of a sports bar, I think it would be fair to say. Met up with a couple of friends and enjoyed a couple of cool beverages while the snow was falling outside. And I came out after not too long, really, and there were 3 to 4 inches of snow on my car. While I was, just having a couple of beers. How many beers? I had 14 beers. All right, 14 beers. And then hopped in the car, knocked the snow off, drove home doing donuts, the usual stuff. All right, I'm embellishing. I'm making that up. I had 2 beers and then went and I did have a lot of snow to clean off the car. Then where I was parked on the street, of course. Otherwise, it wouldn't really snow in your car if you're in an indoor garage or something. And then I was at the bottom of a hill and had to go uphill. And as you know, my car is a high-performance race car, Can-Am racer, none of this four-wheel drive stuff. And so I had to pop wheelies up the hill. Wheelies. My car does wheelies, which is weird because it has front-wheel drive. So, but it was a fun, nice snowstorm, and it's beautiful out the window. And this morning, beautiful out the window, beautiful snow. Now, I think everything is closed, right? Because, this... when I was growing up, it snowed 10 feet overnight, and then you had to get up and carve your way through a wall of human flesh to get to school, where they actually taught you something, though. And the teachers showed up, and they had pretty teachers who were women, and they were sane. Today, Democrat unions run everything into the side of a mountain because that's what they do. Aren't they amazing? Womp, womp, womp. Listen, I've got a lot to talk about today, as you might imagine, because the Democrats are still out of their cage. And I brought in my Washington Post today. I have it right here. I bring it in pretty much every day, truth be told. But I've got some pretty ridiculous stories because the Washington Post is a ridiculous publication. It looks like a newspaper, but it's not. Musk acted before U.S. watchdog could bite. They want the U.S. watchdog to bite because they don't like Elon Musk. They're anti-African American, these lefties. Remember, they're not liberals. They're lefties. They're the left. They're not liberal at all. And they really hate Elon Musk. They've got a virulent hatred for Elon Musk. And I said, now, Michael, have all the Democrat members of Congress shaved their heads or just some of them? Because they're very skinheady, these people. And they were out protesting again yesterday. And they bust in their union hacks, right? And they, what were they? Were they chanting AFL-CIO? Is that what they were? They were chanting that, right? And then they wrote a song. It's not much of a song. They stole it from the civil rights movement. Today they've got a civil rights for the stupid movement going on, and they're singing a song that's right out of the real civil rights movement when the Democrats had to have their slaves taken away from them, and then the Klan, the Democrats, they had the Klan take on their Jim Crow Democrat stuff, and now they're singing a ridiculous song. Have you heard the ridiculous song that they're singing? It is comical. They think it's 1964. They live in another century. When Democrat elected statewide leader of their Democrat Party, Sheriff Bull Connor, and the likes of Democrat Governor George Wallace, and it was a George Wallace campaign volunteer, a Democrat campaign volunteer that shot and killed Martin Luther King. And now they're singing because it's civil rights for stupid people.
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on?
So this is elected Democrats on Capitol Hill.
We'll fight against DOGE.
Yeah, we'll fight against DOGE. Fight against government efficiency.
Within our walls, we'll fight from dawn to dusk.
Elizabeth Warren. She had a
a
tomahawk in her hand. That was weird. And a feather in her hair. Over her shoulder, she had a bow. She forgot the arrows, though, because they weren't funded by. We're going to need a new government agency that gives her arrows. What, do they have the lyrics in their hands?
But we want him in jail.
We want him in jail, like the communists that they are, pig dog. Yeah. What's her Indian name? Oh, it's Pocahontas, of course, Pocahontas. I'm on the side of girls in the girls' locker room and not men, grown men in the girls' locker room. That's the side I'm on. I'm on the side of government efficiency, and she's on the side of waste and fraud and abuse. They are the party of waste, fraud, and abuse, in addition to being the party of the bullwhip and Robert Mapplethorpe. Not many people probably get that anymore, but that's okay. It amuses me anyway. Amazing stuff. And in the Washington Post, they're very upset today because the Democrat Party is the party of gender dysphoria. They're the party of men in little girls' locker rooms, flagging around, wanking around, all that stuff. And the headline on the front page of the Metro sectional at the Washington Post, some of them are metrosectional, some of them are asectional. VA, that's Virginia, VA trans students barred from girls' sports. When they say trans students, they're never talking about girls that want to compete as boys or women that want to compete as men, because everybody knows, except the mentally ill Democrats, and I think they're all mentally ill, that there are two genders, not 145 like in San Francisco. There are boys and girls that grow up to be men and women, and, it's one of the most glorious things ever. But the Democrats are against that because they're completely nuts. The state's high schools will comply with Trump's executive order. They're acting like this is a very onerous duty that they must submit to or something. It's called biology. It's science. Everybody's known it forever. You guys are mentally ill, can I just say? And Karina Elwood typed on behalf of her party, the Democrat Party, in the Washington Post, which is a Democrat publication. The organization regulating high school sports, they have an organization regulating high school sports, in Virginia, said in a reversal, it will limit participation on girls' teams to students assigned female at birth. Really? Like Ketanji Brown Jackson? Can she compete on the pretty amazing stuff? They're assigned female at birth to comply with President Donald Trump's executive order on transgender athletes. That's because he's not mentally ill and completely and utterly insane and suffering from gender dysphoria like every registered Democrat. Every registered Democrat should not be allowed to register a gun or own a firearm because they're obviously a threat to civilization itself. The decision from the Virginia High School League, it's called the Virginia High School League, that the Washington Post, they call it the VHSL because you have to abbreviate everything, which oversees sports. You know how the Democrats have always liked to be the overseers, and they're the ones that say when it's quitting time in high school. Isn't that amazing? At more than 300 schools across the state is a departure from a policy introduced in 2014 that allowed transgender student athletes, that is to say boys, to petition to play with extensive documentation. They wanted to play with extensive documentation. Hey, I've got extensive documentation. Well, you can play with it. That's isn't that amazing? The Democrat Party. Because they've got this thing. The League Gender Dysphoria, it's called. The League said it received requests from 9 trans students over a 4-year period to play on girls' teams. They should seek help, and not in the form of catching a football. Because they don't want to catch a football, do they? They want to knock girls over on a lacrosse field or something like that. Womp, womp, womp. Amazing still. The Virginia High School League, VHSL, is a nonprofit organization where a bunch of people make a lot of money that does not receive federal funding. Who cares? But Executive Director Billy Hahn said in an interview that the organization opted to comply with the Trump order. They opted. You guys should opt to not murder anybody, too, since it's the law. He opted. And this organization, they opted. They could have opted to say, screw the government and the President of the United States and executive orders. Sure. Let's do that with all the Biden executive orders. Isn't that amazing? That they opted, like they have the option, to comply with the Trump order to avoid putting its membership schools at risk. Right now is when the membership schools are at risk because you've got hairy, weirdo men knocking girls' teeth out with their elbows while scoring the big points and of course, stealing their trophies and their scholarships and their wins and everything they work so hard for. Amazing. Hahn said, it's sort of a tricky spot to be in. Yeah, between biology and reality on one side and your mental illness on the other side? But as the organization that governs Virginia High School League sports for 317 public schools, you can't just say, well, this doesn't apply to us. Look at the use of language here. So wait a minute. You guys are the statists. You're the governmentalists. You're the ones that tell us we must all submit and comply. But for you, apparently, it's optional because you're goose-stepping, little armband wearing, womp, womp, womp. You know the rest. This is a tricky spot to be in. Aren't they amazing? So go ahead and comply with that. But there are more transgender stories today, too, because the Democrats, they've got a lot of transgender stuff going on. They really, really do. Man, oh, Manischewitz. I'm telling you, these people. And in our story list today, also just above that, a new law will ban plastic bags. They're banning plastic bags. And they're doubling the price of a paper bag to 10 cents per paper bag because they want to put a gun in your mouth and say, do what we say. You will bring your own bags, and then the chicken blood will seep down in there, and it will get in your children's cookies, and they will get the bird flu or something like that. How many chickens have they killed because of the bird flu? Have you seen this? So all of them, I think. And that's my best girl. She went and got not a 12-pack, but an 18-pack of eggs. Oh, it was $13 plus. $13 plus. And you know why? Because of Democrats. 100% because, and then the communists in China. Let's not forget them. But now they've got a new ban on plastic bags because what they do not want to ban, they want to make mandatory. So now paper bags are mandatory, but they're 10 cents each. Sieg Heil, they are slowing the rise of the oceans. Und? Just amazing. 49% of voters oppose the plan. Sure. Montgomery County, which is a Bolshevik headquarters, also doubles paper bag tax. It's a tax. They love taxes. And they're the party of large government. If you say, hey, we want to contain waste, fraud, and abuse in the government, they will create that stupid song and send Pocahontas out there. She's a member of the Senate. They should all be impeached, honestly. Today, I think they're singing at Fort Sumter. They're going to sing another song because they, yeah. And headlines, Trump lets Elon Musk take the reins in surreal joint Oval Office appearance. Billionaire awkwardly defends DOGE. He awkwardly, no, you guys are mentally ill. He wasn't awkward, and defending government efficiency is something that 100% of Americans either are or should be behind. Also, did you hear about the limestone mine that the government's using? I've got Joe Scarborough. I've got Maxine Watt. Did you hear him cursing yesterday? Members of Congress out there yelling into microphones using the F word. The F word. They think they're cool, like in junior high school when they weren't cool either. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. All right, let us go to the telephones, Michael. Let us go to William, calling from Silver Spring, Maryland. William, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yeah, Chris, nobody's brought this up in the media or anything. The last few days, all these federal workers have been in the streets protesting the administration trying to clean up the fraud and waste. But these federal workers are getting paid while they're in the streets. We're paying as the taxpayers. That's felonious fraud. Why isn't anybody arrested for that?
Well, you know, they're the Democrats. Let me also say that they've got the unions out in the streets, and it's organized through these left-wing radicals that have taken over the government unions. Even FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was against government unions, knowing that they would corrupt our government beyond recognition. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt was right about this one. The headline in the Wall Street Journal, Democrats stand up for the bureaucrats against DOGE, which is government efficiency, of course. And Democrats join unions for protests to, support the government employees, to support waste, to support fraud, to support abuse, because these are slush funds for the Democrat Party, which is corrupt. Democrats have a dim-witted woman from the state of Oregon in the House of Representatives named Maxine Dexter. You combine Maxine Waters and Maxine Dexter. I'm thinking we should ban people named Maxine from the Congress because do you know anybody named Maxine that's a normal, intelligent, well-adjusted person? Because I can't identify one right now. Pretty amazing stuff. The Representative Maxine, since we're talking about the Democrats and their ridiculous effort at singing a song and the union rabble that they've got out there, and they're fighting for more waste, they're fighting for more fraud, they're fighting for more abuse, and they love the profanities. You see, they're everywhere you look, and they got Manderson Pooper on CNN last night. He used a word that, that I can't use here, but we'll play the Manderson Pooper thing for you, too. On CNN, he was barking at Chris Sununu, ironically, while Jeffrey Tubout was sitting next to him, and he used a word that refers to the male appendage, a slang word that, Manderson Pooper. Let's just say, I know I was thinking this since Jeffrey Tubout was at the table, too, but yelling at Chris Sununu, and I'll play that for you in a bit as well. This Democrat congresswoman from the state of Oregon, the once great and honorable state of Oregon, which has gone down the tubes because of left-wing mental illness. Representative Maxine Dexter tells crowd, "We have to beep Trump," and it's the F word. It's a curse word. You're not allowed to use it. I know this.
I've been told I have 30 seconds, so I am going to tell you that we do have to. I don't swear in public very well, but we have to Trump.
They all want to beep Trump. What is it?
Please don't tell my children that I just did that.
You have children? And, I don't think that that's your Democrat Party. Maxine Waters the other day, she used a less vulgar word, but these people, they're rabble, they're garbage, filth, they're Democrats.
Look at this crowd. Elon Musk, where are you? Bring your ass over here so you can see who's here and what we're doing.
What are you doing? You're protesting for more waste, fraud, and abuse. He's fighting against waste, fraud, and abuse with your money and my money. And the Democrat Party wants more waste, fraud, and abuse because they are, and they're trying to be hipsters. They're trying to be edgy. I think they're going to be doing it again today, right? We should bring a bag full of fentanyl down to them. What do you think? Bag of fentanyl.
We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected your ass. Nobody told you could be in charge of the payments of this country.
The payments of this country. Well, the President of the United States was elected by, 75 million people plus, and he's the President of the United States, and you're not, and you're mentally ill, and he's not, and you people are a dangerous rabble. You're a threat to democracy. I love this threat to democracy language. Oh, and what are they using? That's what they're using today, right? Isn't that the catchphrase? And the constitutional crisis. There's a constitutional, and they all, honestly, I think that, I've talked about this before, satellites fly over the nation put there by the patriarchy, of the United States of America, and they beam down the Democrat talking points from space. And the Democrats plug an RJ-11 phone jack into the side of their neck. And when they wake up in the morning, they have the talking points stored in their tiny little squirrel brains. And they can parrot the Democrat Party talking points all day and all night. And today, a constitutional crisis has been issued by the Democrat Party. They took a break from looting and trafficking and, child sex at our southern border with Venezuelan gangs for just long enough to come up with a new talking point. And today's talking point is constitutional crisis. The Democrat Party literally issues these buzzwords and talking points, and then every moron Democrat parrots them. I'm a little annoyed with the Democrats today, I've got to say. They're getting more obnoxious, more vulgar, more vile, and more reprehensible, repugnant. Various things. Just amazing stuff. Hey, see, we talked about this woman a couple of weeks ago who's supposed to be a rapper. She's an overweight rapper, extremely overweight rapper, who goes by the name Dank, right? And Dank DeMoss is her name. And she was in the news a couple of weeks ago because she called a Lyft car, right? Like an Uber car. She called a Lyft car. And when what does she weigh? She's going to be on my 600-pound life, I think. And when the Lyft driver got there, he said, "Oh, my God, you're way too big. You wouldn't fit in my car. I can't take you in my car. My car isn't big enough for you." And Dank DeMoss, alleged rapper, is now suing Lyft because when she called Lyft, she assumed they'd send a forklift. But they didn't, and so when the man got there in a normal car, it's like, the door's not big enough, my shocks. He literally was talking about his tires, about how his tires wouldn't survive, and she's suing Lyft. And she went on. Well, first of all, I want to say that her name is Dank. All right, that's a name that I assume she chose for herself and her parents didn't choose, but what do I know? And if you look up the word dank, it's a little bit funny. Disagreeably damp, musty, and typically cold. So that's her name. She's damp, musty, and typically cold. That's her first name. And the people at Merriam-Webster's dictionary describe dank as unpleasantly moist or wet. That's the definition of dank in the Webster's dictionary, and that's her name. And she went on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the Misspelled God, and they had a heck of a time because, the left, they love things that normal people don't love. But they had Dank DeMoss on, the unpleasantly moist or wet Dank DeMoss, and she came in, she's big. They had a chair for her with Charlemagne the Misspelled God, and she sat on the chair and kind of groaned, "Do you have anything bigger?" And a couple of big, strong men had to go over and pick up a couch and bring over the couch and sit it down so she could sprawl out on the couch. I'm thinking I'd like in coach class on an airplane, she'd need 3 seats. She'd be a 3-seater. Not just 2, because if the 3 seats side by side in coach, if she were sitting in 2 and you were in the 3rd seat, you might be killed. You could be crushed.
Hey, how you, brother? You good? Nice to meet you, Keys.
Got it. Yep. It's the only seat y'all got?
It's the only seat y'all got.
What you want? What you need?
A bigger chair or something.
A bigger chair or something. And then they say, okay, well, sprawl out on the floor there for a minute and we'll bring a couch in. And they brought a couch in. And she's what is she? She's a Democrat. That's what she is. This is the Democrat Party really needs to be called out at every turn. These people are not good neighbors. Not good neighbors. Yeah, Dank DeMoss. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Wah, wah, wah. And reading the news this morning, I was marveling at all of the madness that the Democrats have inflicted. And this gender stuff, the transgender in Virginia and the wah, 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 and the crazy stuff. There is a quote in the Virginia high school transgender thing that on Monday, Governor Youngkin praised the league's change, saying that you have to be a biological female to play in girls' sports. Writing in part on X, common sense wins. And I noticed that the term common sense is kind of making a comeback. But the Democrats, they've got a lot of sexual issues and should be kept away from the children. There's no doubt about that. Buried in the Washington Post today on page B3 for the Metro sectionals. The headline out of Maryland is, Church Teacher Pleads Guilty to Sexually Abusing Young Girls. Church teacher. And there he is, Irvin J. Alfaro Lopez. That's too many names for a man. A former teacher at a small church in Montgomery County, Maryland, pleaded guilty Monday. In 4 sexual assault cases amid allegations, he abused 4 girls aged 6 through 12, including 2 he fondled while their eyes were shut during prayers, authorities said in court. Irvin J. Alfaro Lopez, 34, faces up to 25 years in state prison at his sentencing in August. Now, it's February now, and the sentencing is in August, and he faces, and then we'll pay millions and millions of dollars to keep him in jail for 20 years. But he's here because of Democrats. Why? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Because while he faces 25 years in prison at his sentencing in August, federal immigration authorities who have said Alfaro Lopez unlawfully entered the United States 3 times, has been the subject of 2 removal proceedings. But he lives in a sanctuary county of Montgomery County, and Maryland is a sanctuary state, right? Because they want more of this. You know that because of the policies that they advocate and adopt and defend, and they want more of Irvin J. Alfaro Lopez. And then you get some left-wingers running a church in Montgomery County, and the Democrats say, oh, well, ICE can't arrest people in churches or in schools. It's like Hamas hiding their weapons and their fighters in mosques and in schools and in hospitals. The Democrats, the left, do the same thing here in the United States. So here is a serial child rapist and an illegal alien who's been deported repeatedly but saunters back into the country because of Democrat open border policies and the Biden administration. Amazing stuff. So 3 times the Immigration Customs Enforcement. And what do the Democrats want to do? They want to defund the police and defund ICE. And they want sanctuary counties, sanctuary cities, and sanctuary states and open borders. The Democrat Party's policies and everything they advocate leads to more Irvin J. Alfaro Lopez's. Amazing stuff. Alfaro Lopez, who recently lived in Germantown, not a lot of Germans there anymore, said little in court on Monday besides answering standard plea hearing questions. Yeah, he probably doesn't speak a lot of English either, but just enough to be a menace to society. Isn't that amazing? Wah, wah, wah. And they go through a list of, the 6-year-old girl, the 13-year-old girl, and on and on. Amazing stuff. State sentencing guidelines, while not binding, naturally, recommend a prison term somewhere between 5.75 years and 22 years, according to Monday's proceedings. Wah, wah, wah. But your second paragraph said that he's facing 25 years. He's an illegal alien, and the Democrats create more of this because just amazing stuff. Now, I was amazed that the Washington Post even mentioned the fact that he's an illegal alien who's been deported twice. They normally avoid that like it's monkeypox. Well, that's kind of a poor comparison, I guess, because most of them don't avoid monkeypox, do they? Yeah, so, church leader, Democrat pal, pleads guilty to molesting 4 girls. And remarkable stuff. Your illegal alien policies of the Democrat Party create more of this, and the Democrats yell at you if you point it out because, they're not well. They really are unwell, aren't they? But that's what they want. Yes, sir. Also, since I was talking about the transgender and the schools and all that, and the Democrats in Virginia, they love all that stuff. The Department of Education under Donald John Trump urges the NCAA, or the NCAA if you prefer, to restore to female athletes the records stolen by men. That sounds like a good idea. And National Review has this story, David Zimmerman, who's not mentally ill. And I think that's a really good idea. The Department of Education, federal government, on yesterday, urged the National Collegiate Athletic Association and a counterpart organization overseeing high school sports to restore to female athletes various records, titles, awards, and recognitions that were stolen by men during the Biden administration. Now, this is a mental illness, and mentally ill people took over the country. Joe Biden's brain, she's a no good, she no work. That brain of his, that's a no good. And they did this to people, millions and millions of people. Now, the Education Department's General Counsel sent a letter to the NCAA and the National Federation of State High School Associations asking them to strip the accolades, quote, wrongfully credited to the biological males who unfairly competed against girls and women in athletics. And that's what we've been watching, and that's all because of the Democrats. According to a press release, the department said the request is entirely consistent with the NCAA's policy change barring men from competing in women's sports, which is a good thing. The Trump Education Department will do everything in our power to right this wrong and champion the hard-earned accomplishments of past, current, and future female collegiate athletes, said Candace Jackson, Deputy General Counsel. National Review has contacted the NCAA and the NFHS for comment, but they haven't heard back from them yet because they're afraid because of the reign of terror that the Democrat Party has inflicted on civilization. The NCAA's new transgender policy emerged the day after President Donald Trump signed an executive order last week barring men from women's sports through Title IX, which has been around for decades, and the Democrats are breaking the law every day. They break the law, which prohibits sex-based discrimination in federally funded schools. The NCAA intended to comply with the order. Order! All right, now in Worcester, Mass. They used to be known for clam chowder or something. They've become a sanctuary city for transgender people. And they had a hilarious city council meeting for the mentally ill. The Democrat Party is the party of the mentally ill. And I've got a bunch of that for you coming up because they're completely nuts. Man, oh, man. Let's grab a quick call. We don't have a ton of time, but let's go to Sue, calling from Damascus, Maryland. Oh, Sue, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, good morning, Chris, and thank you for taking my call. I'll be very quick. What I don't understand, I live in Montgomery County. We call it Moco Loco, and it is a sanctuary jurisdiction. So is Prince George's County. And what I don't understand, and I hope you can explain it to me, how can you put at the new FBI headquarters, which will house the nation's top law enforcement agency, into Prince George's County, Maryland, which is a sanctuary jurisdiction that not only violates federal law, but boasts and brags about it?
Well, I'm with you. I would recommend against putting a federal law enforcement facility in a sanctuary county that breaks the law by code.